Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. To the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. To the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready. To the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready.
And you are, well, you should have been on, unless the camera crapped out. Oh, yeah, the camera crapped out.
That's all right.
We'll make shift.
Widen me up. There we go.
Woo!
Pre-show, Salt of the Streets live stream.
We'll just start cuddling now.
Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Donovan.
I'm Colin.
And we have some beautiful guests here. We have Elijah, a.k.a. Nils, and John Sadek, obviously. Dr. Sly. There it is.
Do my production job.
Work on that.
I
Yeah.
can't see the screen, so I don't know if I look cool.
No, you're perfect.
Oh, no, you're good.
Stinks.
What you got there?
This is, I picked this up on the way here. Triangle mints. It's a shatter joint.
Oh, Shatter Joint.
Yep. So
yeah, you go hard, bro.
There you go. Well, I haven't even been smoking flower for a long time. It's been mostly ease, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Now that it's the ease of convenience and storage, I have a child who's growing, you know, so I don't want like a bunch of shit, paraphernalia all over the place. This is very subtle. I can put it up on my shelf in the little dish and it's can be gone. So
it's bunny.
You know, we used to have like a bong and shit and like a whole, you know, all the stuff. That's very
especially
difficult.
If you start getting into like the dab world. I mean, there's.
Yeah, it was like dabbing for a long time.
Kids,
That's a lot
like
of shit
that.
to hide,
That still
you know.
kind of like freaks me out. There's so much you got to get, and like that. There's the butane torch, and there's these nails and shit. I'm like, the joint's good for me.
You guys ever taken a dab before?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I think but I don't know.
You don't know? Like on a dab rig, you know, where
They
someone
told
heated
me
it
it
up
was
with a torch,
Yeah.
and then you
That just
Yes.
seems. That's
never
way
taken
out
a
of my
dab
league.
before.
No.
It just felt like being way too high, which I've done a few
Yeah,
times. So.
the first time that you do it, it's definitely way too intense. Like it's like the first time you've ever been high, even if you've been smoking weed for 10 years. You know, I smoked weed for a long time before dabs were even a thing, and then the first time I took a dab, I was like, this is a whole new experience, and it's way less natural. It's very chemical, and like it's not. It's like a means to an end, you know, where it's like if you're gonna smoke a joint, you can like sit in the grass somewhere or like in the trees, you know, and like feel like you're one with nature. But if you're sitting in the
Yeah,
trees and you're
okay.
taking a dab, you're not being closer to the planet. Like that's not you're not at all connecting with the planet. You're just getting blazed, and then you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's actually the time I had like very, very intense visions about competitive Red Rover. And I was like, full teams. I was just sitting there for like a half hour. I kept talking about it. And one of our like best friends was there and they were not having it. But yeah, I kept going on and on about professional Red Rover. But I thought it would be so sick if you had like teams of 5, like
Hard,
grown
yes.
and they just have to like block each other from getting
Yeah.
through. And people are just fucking flying.
Put
and
it on the
sliding.
Ocho.
Dude, if we can
It was a
invent
good-
a sport
yeah.
like pickleball, which I'm fairly sure was invented like
It was.
like
Yeah.
in Bainbridge Island,
Yeah, it was.
like
Really?
we can make
Yeah,
professional
it's
Red
washed
Rover.
out.
I want a
Yeah.
part of this.
We gotta rep pickleball a little bit harder.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
do. Pickleball's legit.
I almost feel like we should. Yeah, I did
right?
not know that it
Yeah,
was a
it's from
local
Washington
thing.
for sure.
That's
I feel like I should pull up an article
Aubrey
or something
Marcus?
about it.
Aubrey Marcus?
Aubrey
that
Marcus.
Marcus?
Does he play
Marcus?
pickleball?
He does. He likes
Oh.
pickleball.
Let's see.
That's so random.
Right?
That's so
Pickleball.
random. I remember playing pickleball in school and thinking like, this is stupid as fuck. But now I think I could see the appeal. You know,
Yeah.
it's on like a smaller scale.
So according
Or
to
do you play it on a full tennis court?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like a slightly smaller court, slightly smaller net, I'm pretty sure. But it's pretty big.
Shorter
still.
net?
Yeah, I mean
it's
it
a
gets
shorter net.
it gets fucking aggressive, man.
That's fucking weird.
We my grandparents have had one in their like backyard area for a long time. It's like a combo basketball court, pickleball court, and tennis court thing.
Whoa.
And yeah, we've thrown down heavy tournaments over the years, man. Just have big family gatherings, and we go out there. We'll be out there for 4 or 5 hours. People are like overhanding this shit. I mean, it gets aggressive. Like, you ever played badminton before?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, badminton can get aggressive as fuck. Pickleball's the same deal. But according
I'm good at
to
You're good at
the
badminton?
internet's
that. For an American,
one
I'm
true
good at that.
source, Wikipedia, the game of pickleball was created in 1965 on Bainbridge Island, Washington, by a man named Joel Pritchard, who later served in Congress as a lieutenant governor.
I mean, if you're going to invent a sport.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Might as well, yeah.
Good lord.
Is pickleball an Olympic sport? Do you guys know?
I don't know. I think to me it was always one of those like ultimate frisbee, like just
Yeah.
kind of
Fringe.
pseudo sport games.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But I was gonna say, yeah, it's like
Is it a sport? Or is it a game that you're playing?
Yeah.
yeah, like badminton was always like a picnic game here. But when I was in France, that's like a sport. Kids like they're like, no, I played badminton. That's a sport I play. Like high school kids. And so, because I played tennis,
Right.
and I wanted to do something with people there, and when I went there, yeah, it's not the same game.
They
It's
said,
not.
"Fuck
They
you."
destroyed me for like 3 months straight until
That's
he's
so
like, "Can you
weird.
keep up?" The game's super duper fast. It's really, really fast. But it's crazy. It's like really fun once you start getting a hang of it. But it's like it's not the same.
The
Like, it's not the
shuttlecock
same
can
game.
reach like super high speeds, right? Like ridiculous speeds.
Yeah, it's
ludicrous
fast.
speed, if you will.
It starts getting to be. It's like weird because like you're just there's no way you can think about what you're doing. Your hand's just like going down to like, and you're like, whoa, I got it. Weird, and it, like I blocked the spike. I don't know how. You know, it just gets. But that's what's fun
Superhuman
about it.
speed.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Yeah, ask
everybody just starts to know what to do.
next time we hang out with Jake, so probably like that next weekend or whatever, ask him about his experiences with
Pickleball?
oh my god, badminton.
Badminton.
Badminton with the shuttlecock.
Yeah.
Because I almost took out his eye when we were in junior high.
Like that's
Fucking
got to be
spiked
pretty
it
common.
right in the face, and he just boom.
You
leveled
wear
like
goggles
that.
when you play badminton? No.
No, you just have to be fast.
Because
Yeah,
like
that's
when
it.
you
You
play
gotta-
You just gotta be
racquetball,
fast. Is all.
like racquetball, you're supposed to wear goggles, right?
Yeah, racquetball gets
Yeah.
intense.
the shuttlecock like is not that heavy. Like if
Yeah.
you get hit like as hard as somebody can fucking do in a head, it's like getting like flicked pretty good on the noggin.
Yeah.
Like it's really not gonna hurt you, but a rubber ball is gonna destroy you.
There's got to be more extenuating circumstances to this badminton thing with Jake. I'm gonna have to probe that.
It was just a perfect shot right in the fucking eye. Jumped up over the net, smashed it down, and it just took him out. So it's about the one dangerous place you can get hit is directly in the eye.
Directly in the eye.
Yes.
Yeah. So you asked us a question, Elijah, before the show started of Colin and I, who our dream guest would be, and then what the dream topic for the dream guest would be.
Yeah.
Did you think of anything?
No, I've been producing. I was going to rely on your answer first, dude.
No, I think Thomas Jefferson is good. I almost feel like you have to pick someone who's dead, because
Really?
if you only have one opportunity.
Okay, so we'll change it slightly then. So like, what if it's like a goal to beat this
Okay.
person?
Your dream get.
Yeah. That's
How?
like,
Okay.
They can actually. Like,
How do I
that's
know that I
achievable.
made it when I've?
And like, what are the questions that you even be prepared to ask, or the debate topics or anything like that? Because I know I remember the last time I was on here, you guys were talking about like Candace Owens. There's obviously like Ben Shapiro, like on more of like the
Right.
mainstream, but they're like super hard debaters, right? Like you have to come with
yeah.
their facts. Not saying that you're gonna debate them, but just
Right.
to have a banter with them,
And if you're going to ask a hard question, it's got to be a hard question.
Right.
It can't be something that they've already been asked before and thought about.
Or even the guy
hands in their pocket.
the guy that does the YouTube that's like Change My Mind or whatever. I don't know his name.
Crowder.
Stephen Crowder.
Yeah,
Stephen
something
Crowder.
like that. Someone just like on a larger scale, I guess.
I'd like to put his shit in a little bit.
We talk
Not
about
gonna lie.
Stephen Crowder a lot
Okay.
because for a lot of reasons.
Because I watch a show every day, but most of the time I'm yelling at it while I'm watching it.
Yes, it's the only
Why
show.
do I keep coming back, and why do I keep getting angry? I don't know.
He's
Yeah.
doing his job.
But
Yeah, he's doing his
it's like
job.
he's doing what he needs to do, and I'm just like,
Yes.
you're misrepresenting the fucking question, or blah, whatever the case may be. But like, I still come back the next day and watch it.
I feel like Stephen Crowder is a good peek into modern conservative youth, especially men. And so that's one of the reasons that I consume his content regularly, is I just feel like that's one of the best windows into that world right now.
Yeah.
And
What world? Can I ask? What world?
the conservative world of it's like I said, especially conservative youth,
Yeah.
because there's a huge difference in the things that conservative youth care about and like old conservatives. There's a big difference of things they care about, and Stephen Crowder is very much I would say true conservative in the way that all or most of his solutions end with government. Like the government is the answer, but in a limited fashion, and that's always the end. And so I would call him very much a Republican and nothing outside of that. Whereas a lot of other people, Tim Pool is a good example, where he's like a little more radical, like more libertarian, things like that. Stephen Crowder he's a conservative Republican. That is what he is. And so that's why I feel like it's a good window into that world. He's always talking about politicians in particular, never a way around the system, always working within the system, which is not a bad thing, but that's what his thing is never finding a way to change that. Tim Pool, especially in the last few months, has been very about changing the system as it exists now, and you could probably argue his entire career he's been on that. But
I have a question. So you guys would
Yes.
probably like to verbally spar with this Crowder guy? Or that'd be like interesting to you guys?
Pen and paper.
yes, yeah, because there's been numerous times that we have, more often than not, we're talking shit about Stephen Crowder on this show. And not like just talking shit about him, but breaking down his arguments because they're not good. They're false arguments. They are... The most recent one was his takes on abortion and the Texas abortion bill. He's very religious and, again, very traditional conservative. I have pen or paper in my backpack. Is that what he's going to give you? Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I should have asked before we started the show. And
known.
a lot of his takes, especially on that, are just very inconsistent. They break down to a lot of personal responsibility on the women's part. It's all about the women's responsibility, and you need to take on responsibility for, if you want to be sexually active, and like all of these things that just are inconsistent. I'm sorry if I tore those out. I should have unclipped them. That I feel are inconsistent with his traditional the government should really mostly leave me alone type of deal, you know, unless you're doing something that I don't agree with, then they need to regulate it heavily and make sure that you're not doing it, which is unhealthy, I think. And that's a very bare bones explanation of that because
No,
it's off the cuff.
Yeah, and
but
I've seen like 2 videos. I think the last one I watched was about the border. But when it comes to like just like humor me and just like fill us in real quick.
Yes.
When it comes to this type of debate / political stance that not only you guys but like everyone else has, do you guys ever waver in your ideas? Are you guys just kind of firm? Because that's kind of like the whole point of it, right? Or is it to see eye to eye and like kind of understand like a common ground, or agree to disagree rather?
I like to look at it as a way to test your current ideas against other people's, and if they essentially convince you in some fashion that like your way of thinking or how you arrived to the answer you got, or maybe the answer you got to may not be right anymore. That's why I like to talk to people that don't quite agree with me, or challenge their ideas because I think they're wrong, something like that. It's because it helps me kind of center my own ideas or back up my ideas, or bring me to a point at which I'm like, well, maybe I've been thinking about this wrong. Maybe I missed this aspect of it and I got to rethink this whole deal. Like where I ultimately land on whatever the issue is or the question is, I don't actually really care necessarily where I end up, as long as I end up there in the right fashion. If my train of thought is correct, if my fact sets are correct, if the interpretation I come to at the very end is not the same as theirs, agree to disagree, that's cool, you know. But yeah, I like to be able to challenge my own ideas as best I can, so that way I can feel more comfortable in the areas that I care about. Now, a lot of times, you know, depending on what the subject is, I may fully not want to move on my ideas, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise, but I have a hard time believing that's... I don't know if I have a idea in my head now that aren't kind of up for being swayed one way or another.
Okay.
But that's just me anyway.
And I would say for me personally, there's few things that I'm unwavering on, and they're just kind of like deep-seated things. As far as your freedoms, the rights that you have, you know, those are things that I'm unwavering on.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as traditional political opinions, I'm always up to be presented a better argument than where I'm at now. Mm-hmm. And the best example I always use for this show in particular is in one of the first episodes that we did on this show. I said, no one needs to own an AR-15. And I own an AR-15 right now. So there are a lot of things for both of us that have changed a lot just in the 3 years that we've been doing this show. And so I try and maintain the thought that I could always be wrong. And do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
I don't think so.
John, you know who Jordan Peterson is,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So Jordan Peterson, he wrote a book. It's good. It's like a kind of like a self-help book. That's it's 12 Rules for Life, and one of those is that you should always assume the person you're talking to knows something that you don't.
Gotcha.
And they're all up for interpretation. It's all, you know, people get different things out of it. I actually did a series on our website of all those different rules and what I took from them.
Yeah.
And it's oftentimes very different from what he wrote, but it's what I took. And so the one that I took more literally is always assume the person you're talking to knows something that you don't. So I try and really carry that with me all of the time. And
it just seems like the right thing to do.
And
you
I
know,
think
you don't want to assume that you know better than whoever it is you're talking about or with. Just assume that they know something you don't. If by the end of the conversation you get there and they didn't convince you, then that's fine. But if you assume that who you're talking to knows something you don't, you're going to maintain an open mind throughout the whole conversation. You're not going to go in there with your mind stuck.
Yeah.
I know my guy who I would my dream get, I think.
Let's hear it.
It would be somebody along the lines of like a Barry Weiss or even like Noah Rothman. Somebody from the more classical like newspaper world. The old, like a fallout from legacy media.
Do you know who those people are?
No.
Barry Weiss is a journalist who now is independent, and she runs or operates on a website called Substack, which is just a subscription service that people can operate through that's mostly written. And I think you could put audio content, it doesn't matter. She used to be a journalist at the New York Times and was one of the more conservative opinion journalists there. Okay. And was, in her opinion, I mean, a lot of people's opinions, pushed out because of her ideology. The work environment was hostile, it was very unwelcoming, and so she felt like she had to leave. A lot of people obviously dispute that. It's neither here nor there. That's the reason that she left. And she is part of what she described as the intellectual dark web, which is a lot of people that have crossed political bounds. They used to be on the left and now don't feel like they belong there, and now they're more on the right. And people that were on the right that have left there, and now they're on the left. And they exist in this very weird, gray, amorphous area of politics. Joe Rogan is in the intellectual dark web, just people that don't fit into a traditional set, you know, and people that are very dominant in today's culture belong in this intellectual dark web that she wrote about. So that's who Barry Weiss is. Noah Rothman is a journalist for a conservative magazine called Commentary Magazine, which is a predominantly Jewish production out of New York. That it's very good. Yeah, they do excellent work, especially for like more old school conservatism. Yeah. It's very good work. But Noah Rothman is probably the most moderate, probably the most moderate of all of those dudes that they do a podcast every day, and so that's the other person that Colin is talking about, is this other journalist that you could probably, I don't know that he would say that he's in the intellectual dark web, but you could probably put him in there, and he would be.
Yeah, probably.
So they're
obviously everybody wants to talk to Rogan, but that's too easy. You know?
No, and I think
Tim Pool just got to talk to Rogan.
Yeah,
that son of a bitch. Do you guys watch Tim Pool at all? His show?
Yeah, this is the guy. I think I've seen like one or two parts of one or two episodes.
Tim Pool's great.
I've seen him on Joe Rogan before.
Yeah, he was.
And
on
I saw
Rogan
that
with like the Twitter guys, and he just did another episode. I don't think
it was like a lot of people there, right?
Yeah,
there was like quite a few different people in there.
Yes,
there was some other people I like.
Tim Pool does. Yeah, go ahead, get that going.
Who else was in there?
So Tim Pool just did a huge episode.
Alex
He lives, Tim Pool lives in West Virginia, I think, and they put this RV together, outfitted it with all this podcast equipment, and they drove it to Texas. And they parked it in a parking lot in Austin, and Alex Jones was there, Michael Malice was there, who is, do you know who Michael Malice is?
I don't think so.
You're going to learn so much stuff today. No, it's theirs.
I know.
He's my spirit animal.
Michael Malice is also a very dominant person in political culture. That he's an anarchist, and like a very dominant anarchist, and someone that Colin and I we've found a lot of love for Michael Malice in the last few months.
He's the king of the Twitter trolls.
Oh, he's the best Twitter troll. He's an amazing follow. If nothing else, he's an amazing Twitter follow, just because he just roasts the fuck out of people all the time. But so Michael Malice was there, Alex Jones was there, Joe Rogan was there, Blair White was there, who is another conservative commentator. She's a trans woman who was a man, transitioned to being a woman, and now she's a conservative. And exactly, she's another very polarizing figure. A guy named Drew Hernandez was there, who was one of the witnesses in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and he is an independent journalist. I think he has his own website now. At the time, he was working for somebody else, but so he was there also, and then they had their own little cadre of people that are always there. So they had fucking like 9 people in an RV doing a podcast. Yeah, it was very intense.
Wild shit. It
was really good though.
Dreams right there. The mobile studio.
I'm having a very difficult time coming up. This whole time I'm trying to think of like who would be the person, you know? And
I kind of almost want to get a more instinctual, like who's one of the first people you think of? Because ultimately, you can't pull out the legal pad and do pros and cons for each one of these.
No.
Who's one of your most warm fuzzy? Glenn Beck. No, obviously not.
I think that I might want to do somebody who would challenge my own ideals, you know? Someone that it would not be confrontational, but that like an Anna Kasparian or something like that, you know? Ooh. Like I almost would want it to be somebody like that. Anna Kasparian works for the Young Turks. Do you know the Young Turks?
Sounds like a fucking rap group.
It's a very progressive, very progressive YouTube. I think they have their own website too, but predominantly YouTube political show. And Anna Kasparian is one of the hosts on there, who is one of the more outspoken people on social media. I almost think I would want it to be somebody like that would push me on my own questions, you know.
That's Anna Kasparian.
That's Anna Kasparian.
Oh, okay. But she has like a very calm way of being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but she is like
She just had a big debate
with Ben Shapiro. Yeah.
And they were actually, the two of them, polar opposites. Like, you could not find more opposite. They were actually able to come together around
It was a great
a
debate.
certain issue, and it was usually like the hate of like the corporate press.
Yeah.
It was like, well, even a hardcore lefty and a hardcore right people can agree on some shit like that. And she proved in that interview that she can be level-headed enough to agree to disagree on everything else and then come together on one issue. That, I think, would be I'd pay money to watch you two talk.
Yeah,
I'll
and
say that much.
the Young Turks catch a lot of shit, especially among conservatives, for like clipping people, not out of context, but just the worst part of what they said, and then roasting the fuck out of them on their own show, not inviting them on for an interview or like to respond or anything, but just roast them and then move on the next day, which is fine. Obviously, if that's what you want to do, but they also are very hard about but we're very serious journalists, you know, but you're providing political and social commentary, which is fine, but that's also what I'm doing, and I'm not claiming that I'm a very fucking serious journalist, you know, even if we're writing articles. We're still doing political and social commentary in which I feel comfortable. If I want to call you a fucking idiot, I'm going to call you a fucking idiot, you know, and that's not something I would put in the label of a traditional journalist, you know. So
Right.
they cross this very weird line. But
I did some journalizing this week, because in prep for the story I'm going to write for our Patreon this month.
yes,
I'm actually having to make cold calls to businesses and try to ask them questions about what I'm writing about, and it makes me want to go get a burner phone. I'm going to say that much, which is weird.
oh, so people don't have your phone number.
Yeah.
Star 67,
strange.
bro.
Yeah, everybody.
Star 67. That
Okay.
gives you blocks your phone number.
Okay.
That's still a real thing.
That's what
I believe so. Can I see that lighter?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we started a Patreon. You know what Patreon is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, so we started a Patreon like 2 months ago, and one of the things that we do is put out a monthly newsletter. It's just what we're calling it, but it's an article written by Colin and I individually. That's about whatever we came up with.
Yeah.
So last month was the first one that we put out, and I wrote about political division and fear-mongering amongst news media through the lens of Halloween candy. And that sounds very general, but
It's a good analogy. It
the
worked out really well.
hysteria around tainted Halloween candy and how big that was, and how poisonous the rhetoric can be that comes from media is what that one was about. And Cohen's was about Ron DeSantis, who's the governor of Florida, and there are a lot of people that are conservative that really want Ron DeSantis to run for president. And they're like, he's going to save the country. Like, that's the answer. And so Cohen's article was about how Ron DeSantis is not going to save the country, how that is not the solution.
Yeah.
It was very good.
It was fiery.
Yeah, I need to get you on your guys' Patreon for sure. For sure.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Where can somebody like Elijah find our Patreon, good sir?
Patreon.com/saltofthestreets. Instagram at Salt of the Streets, or YouTube. Everyone's watching us here. YouTube.com/Salt of the Streets. Facebook, fuck Facebook, Salt of the Streets. SaltofTheStreets.com for all this information. We have our own personal social media. I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at Alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Colin is at Bearboard Offie on both of those things. We have the Discord, Swell Blended. We always talk about Swell Blended.
Yeah.
Fucking Paul, right? So, swellblended.com if you need a haircut. Location Skate Shop if you need a skateboard. West Bremerton. Colin has his Location Skate Shop. Has a sweatshirt or a shirt on today. Upper left, obviously.
Yes, sir.
YouTube, anywhere that you guys can find the music. You also have your own stuff, PNW Nils, that you can also find Spotify, iTunes, anywhere. Dr. Sly on YouTube, right? Is there anywhere else that people find your content, John?
Mostly on IG right now. Everything on the internet is pretty much not great. Still under construction.
Instagram, excellent. I was watching some of that this morning. I saw just yesterday you put out what it was, the Sly
Sessions.
Sly Sessions,
Yeah, it's a
thank you,
new
that's what it was.
it's like a new series I'm doing.
I like
guess.
that.
Yeah, so
I like that. Is that something that so it's a series, so you're going to be doing that more consistently, right?
Yes,
And
more and more often.
Is that going to be every time that you do a new music video, or are you just going to start working and doing smaller stuff all the time, or?
Well, yeah, I guess it's just kind of more in the music realm of things. I'm mostly just meeting with artists and kind of getting a more behind the scenes look into the work. So more of the like process of creating songs. The sessions will be different things. Yeah, just seeing what goes into the creation of the songs. And then also I'll be like leaking music for different artists and stuff like that.
Some leak skis
coming out. So
Ooh.
yeah, just pairing with artists and giving them like another way to get their media out and let us both do our work, you know.
Diversity of media seems to be very important if you're growing
huge.
a content style business.
Yeah.
Is like, and that's part of. That's why I have all these fucking 7 different things that have Salted Streets on them. It's just diversity of media, different places. Discord, I didn't even know what the fuck that was. Really, when Colin brought it up to me.
Reddit's huge.
Yeah, no idea that
people want to watch stuff.
Discord was even a thing. But yeah, the Salty Shorts, right? We've been doing shorts for
That's the way to go.
a
Man.
couple months, and that's
I'm very glad you guys are doing that now.
That's what we've learned.
approachable.
And that's what we've learned, yeah, is to take the, and that's why I put out a small video last week to just like go over all the different ways that we're making content, you know, because there are some people. Larry is one of the people that will sit down and smack the whole episode in one go, and which is like very uncommon, you know, and it's not something, like I said, it's not something I expect of people because it's a huge piece of content to consume at one time. There are like, I can do that at my work with all the Joe Rogans and stuff. Like I sit down for 10 hours a day, so I can listen to 4 Joe Rogans in one sitting and have no problem. But most people cannot do that. So the shorts are a big thing. We've seen a lot of positive feedback on the shorts.
Yeah. I agree, man. Yeah, keep going with those. Those are really good. Really good.
John
I
Sadik?
those.
Monday through Thursdays. On it.
Monday, Thursdays, let's go.
That's the
Yes,
way we
Monday
do
through
it.
Thursday. Yes, so the shorts are a big thing. Movember is going on this month.
Yep.
Last
That's
November
right.
time. So if you guys want to donate, Movember.com. Donovan Phillips, you can search me there. It's fantastic. I always forget. I've been donating on Mondays because I forget on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to work and I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot to do that.
I donate anonymously, so you never know which donations are mine and which ones aren't.
I saw that, you sneaky fuck.
That's right.
Okay, so there's one thing that I wanted to ask you guys about. There was a large spending package, a spending bill that passed the House of Representatives on yesterday morning. That's a social spending bill that's going to go to the Senate and back. I'm not going to talk to you about the details of that, right? It was $1.75 trillion that some portion of that is going to be added to the debt. So I want to ask you quickly about inflation, right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed things in your life costing more money over the last few months?
No, and if I did, it was really only gas or anything. But nah, not really though.
John Sadik?
Yeah, I'm not the best at paying attention to like the prices of things I consistently buy. I suppose I'm mostly buying groceries and such. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Jordan is the one that pointed the grocery thing out to me. I don't notice, you know what I'm saying? I go grocery shopping maybe once a month.
Yeah,
so I did not fucking notice,
It costs what it costs. Yeah.
It costs what it costs. I don't know. Jordan's the one that pointed it out to me. Gas I noticed because I fucking drive a truck. So of course I
Everybody
notice when the price of
notices
gas.
gas.
When I can't put $35 in my truck anymore, I got to put $45 in my truck.
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like
$35. Damn.
only to get not to get a full tank. Don't think I'm
Okay.
fucking around here. That's to give me a half and that'll be fine until next week. If I come here, I know I got to put more gas in my truck that week. Listen, okay? Balling on a budget out here. I told you I'm supporting a family. No. So the only reason that I'm really asking you about that, do either of you fuck with cryptocurrency at all?
Yeah.
You fuck with cryptocurrency, John?
I do not.
You don't fuck with
I
crypto?
do not fuck with crypto.
When did you start fucking with crypto?
Heavily, maybe a year or two ago, but
You owned some before that?
in 2013, I mean, like, you know, when Bitcoin first like took its little surge back.
Really?
2012, 2013.
You owned some from back in the day?
I did not keep it.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You had sold it? Okay.
yeah.
But that's when you first started. Okay.
Yeah.
Such a common story.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
What-
I got into it back in the day, made $100
Yes.
bucks, got out, and
Yeah,
now
you know.
that would have been $100 grand.
You just
today.
didn't know what it
Damn.
was. Now you know what it is. So
Yeah.
just a lot more knowledge on it.
Oh yeah.
We got into crypto real heavy probably just in the last year or so. And the first time it happened, bought a little bit, and then like when Bitcoin dipped down again, you know, to whatever the fuck, I was like, this is bullshit. Like, this is nonsense. I don't even know why Larry talked me into this. Like, fuck Larry.
Yeah, 'cause it was
and
up at like 50 and then dropped down to 30.
yeah.
You're like, man.
And then when it came back, you know, I was like, okay, so there's something to this, you know? And so I'm very much a believer in it now. You know, I'm not dumping all my paychecks into it or anything, but I'm definitely investing in it.
It's an investment.
I put a little bit in every week, you know, just like $25 or whatever, just buy little chunks of here or there, whatever is down, you know. I feel like that's the easiest way to like dip your way into it. I know Trenton, he got heavy into it when it was first cracking. So
It's hard, man. It's hard not to.
exactly.
Very hard not
What
to.
different coins are you into, if you don't mind? Some people are very private about their
no,
secrets,
I don't give a damn. I mean, if they buy into whatever I'm in, it just helps me. But
That's right.
I
John?
was heavy into Ethereum. I still kind of am.
Ethereum
I
sitting.
actually have a homie. I don't know if I should say his name. It doesn't really matter. But I have a homie that we worked with, and he actually got a lot of us into like a whole group thing. So we all did like pitched in money, and then he kind of flipped it. But he took, no kidding, he took 20,000 and flipped it to 100,000. He did it not once but twice. 'Cause the first time he did it, he couldn't pull it right away, and the second time he did it, he was able to pull it right then and there. So that made me a huge believer. And the way he did it though is the reason why I'm on the wave I'm on right now. So it was altcoins.
Okay.
So not necessarily things that are like actually like on a larger scale, like
New ones.
on Coinbase.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And right now it's really bad, but it's like I'm on the wave of like a lot of meme coins.
Like Doge. The Doge is the most public example of a meme coin would be Dogecoin.
It's the new sheep coin, bro. I'm into the sheep.
Sheep?
Right now.
Sheep
I
is
was
big.
into that
It's
too.
real good to me.
Made a decent amount off of that. Kind of pulled off of that too.
That's
But,
so funny.
yeah, but yeah, altcoins is the way. It's like it's a lot of in and out, but it is a lot of money if you can manage it, if you have time
Yeah.
and figure it out. It's a lot of money. So
Because
You gotta
altcoins is more like
Absolutely.
day trading, right?
Basically.
Than like cryptocurrency is a little more. And Larry would almost punch me for saying this. It's a little more passive. Like
I
you
say
can
so.
you can put money into crypto and like forget about it and check
Yeah.
it, a month later and be like, yeah, I made $20. Like that's what's up,
Absolutely.
But if the altcoins, the minimal coins are ones that are more like day trading. You have to pay more attention. You got to be a little more on it.
Yeah.
But I think Larry's into a little more of some altcoins and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
But
Yeah, once they have like 7 zeros after the decimal point, I'll think about it.
yeah, right?
If they got 8 zeros, I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe not.
It's
We'll wait
hard
till
too.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have like a certain type of comfortable mindset with it. But
yes.
I'm already invested. After like I said, I saw living proof of it.
Yeah.
It's almost like when someone says like working hard, if you don't actually see like hard work being worked, you're not gonna believe in it. I actually saw someone take part of my money,
And
quintuple
turn
it.
Yeah.
So like it made me a believer. So
Fuck yeah.
And that's just last Thursday night. There was a real big dip, in a lot of Bitcoin, so I bought a little bit Thursday night, bought a little bit extra, and I was texting Larry, and I was like, I'm just jazzed because the first time this happened, I was like scared and mad. I was like, and now I'm just like, fucking good. Fucking dip. I'm going to buy even more. Just keep going down, and I'm going to buy even more,
Absolutely.
and I'm going to cash the fuck out when this goes back up. Like,
Absolutely.
it's weird, the confidence that's in it, that's like
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about it. Like it's fine. I don't go down 20%. That's fine. I don't give a shit. Like I said, I'm just gonna buy more.
2
It's
weeks from now, you'll be up 30%.
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm a
Do you
huge
think
fan.
there's any way that it wouldn't come back up, or that it would just keep going down? At
It's
any point?
certainly possible. It is certainly possible. In the same way that it's possible that the dollar is gonna be worth nothing. So it's just a faith thing, I think. And it's easier, I think, like you said, Elijah, when you see the evidence of it.
Yeah.
The first time it went from it was above 60K and then it dropped back down to 32 or whatever, I was like, fucking Larry, like motherfuck Larry. I only had $200 or whatever. I'm like, and I just lost half of it because of fuckers wanted to pull out and make cash. So it's very easy, I think, to like get on that, but it's also once you've seen it come back,
Oh damn!
like,
Sheep's
well, I
down
have
3.5% right now today.
There you go.
But
So
it was up like 15 the last couple days, so I'm still up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking love
It's
it.
possible. It's a faith thing. As I see more governments, there are cities now that are operating off of Bitcoin and whole countries that are operating off of
Putting
Bitcoin.
ATMs for Bitcoin.
Exactly.
and all
So
that.
as
Actually
I
accepting it, yeah.
their governments, like our own government, has a certain amount of cryptocurrency that they own now. So as I see it be legitimized in that way, I struggle to see a world in which it stays at zero.
Yeah.
Because if I have $200 and I'm thinking about buying the dip, and governments around the world have hundreds of millions of dollars, they really want to buy the dip.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's
That's
like,
my
it's
take
a
on
way
that.
for them to make a lot of money
why are you not in invested in crypto, John?
I guess I just invest in other things. I typically invest in like Magic cards because I just understand the market like a lot better.
Well, that's
So
When they're hot. I mean, Pokemon cards. I had my original Pokemon cards last Christmas. A guy named Brian started working with me, and he's all into Pokemon, and he was telling me about it. He was like, the fucking game is coming back. And I was like, what are you even talking about? He was like, yeah, people are buying Charizards for fucking thousands of dollars, you know?
Thousands, yeah.
So I brought in my original set that was like, I think I was 12 shy of the OG 150.
Nice.
Fucking Brian brought them for me to work for $250. I brought them in prepared. I said, Brian, I was like, if you want to give me like $50, and I was like, we'll call it good. I don't even know what they're worth. Like, I don't know what they're.
Really?
He was
what
like,
do you
oh,
think they were worth?
I have no idea. I have no idea, and I don't care because I didn't know I had them. So
Thousands.
that's fine.
Oh,
To me,
probably.
to me, they were worth nothing because
Yeah.
I'm not going to put in the work to get them all graded, to send them out, to do any of that bullshit. I'm not going to do any of that. I don't care enough to do that. So
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
they were worth nothing. To Brian, to whoever's going to buy them, they're worth that much money. To me, that's a piece of paper. I don't understand. The same thing that I struggle to understand the relevance of dollar bills. That's fake. It's not real. You know, I have to give it faith because that's the dominant monetary system of our country. So that's what I get paid in. That's the money that other people are going to accept from me.
You
But
still have faith that you can go out and buy whatever it is that you're wanting to buy with those pieces of paper.
yes, and part of it is because I don't understand the market, so I don't know what it's worth, and that's why it's not worth anything to me. I was happy. Like I said, he gave me $250. I was
Yeah,
thrilled.
because you just had free two.
They were on my shelf.
Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't even know I had them. They were in a binder on my shelf, and I said, I think my mom has them in a box,
Yeah.
and they're on my shelf. And Brian gave me $250, so they're worth $250 to me.
Yeah. And if he turns around and sells those things for $2,500, it's really not going to be
Yes.
any snot out of your nose because essentially to you, they were worth nothing.
And he told me that he's held on to them since then, that he was going to keep those more for sentimental value, which
Because they're
is.
so OG.
They're gonna go so high, but
I'm sure that's
it's-
why. Yeah,
it's
most
just
there
like-
was some first editions. There was some nothing too crazy, you know, but there was some good shit in there.
Profits, profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Profits, profit.
So yeah, I invest more in like, because I guess I just understand like what does everybody do once they get money? They just get things that they like.
They
right?
get
Yep.
shit.
They just
Yes.
fucking have things. So it's
Yeah.
more
So
like
just get the things.
exactly like whatever you had when you were a kid, whatever is just like hard to get, right? Like that's just gonna hold value for people.
Yeah.
Like that's like
Yeah.
the supply demand thing. So I think like I just understand like Magic, the game, and the game is like too big at this point to fail. Like if they stopped printing today, all the cards would just spike in price.
Right.
Because now the supply is completely
Right.
gone.
Like when they canceled whatever that card was a few months ago.
Yeah.
Right,
There-
we
there
talked about it on here.
yeah,
There was a
bunch of
card
them.
that they stopped printing, or they changed the name of it, or some shit like that, and then people were buying it for just $1 bajillion. You know,
Yeah.
it had some type of Satanist.
And
I don't
it's-
even remember.
And it's a little bit the like Bitcoin thing where it's like so many people put so much money into it, it's like hard to see it as like zero value. So
Right.
it doesn't make sense why like a card in a case that's a Black Lotus fucking whatever is like
Right.
$150,000 or something.
But
But people
is.
like move mortgages around very easily, and
Right.
people who have money who like do things well, they're like, you know what, I like fucking Magic cards, like tons of NFL players, tons of basketball players. So
It's like comic books.
yeah, exactly.
Like
So
the
any
Superman
collectible
#1 is
market-
worth over $1 million. You know, like
Exactly.
whatever it is, and it goes up in value every year, every time someone buys
Yeah.
it. You know,
So everything's like this. You could find this for guns. You could find this
Yes.
for fucking microphones. You could, and it's just like I understand this collectible because I have literally grown my entire life doing
you
it.
played
And I,
Magic
like,
for a long time.
since I was like since like 6 years old.
Really?
So I've been playing for. It's like the thing I'm for sure the best at in my life out of all of my
Really?
skills. 100%. Yeah.
Who do you,
like
who do you,
Magic
who
is
do you
fun,
play
I will
Magic with
say.
now? Do you have a group of people that you play Magic with?
I have not played like in high school. We would have like a group of like 4 people, and we would just jam tournaments every single weekend. Like
Who else?
Like,
Who was in your group?
It was like seniors. It was different. It was like I don't know, Chris Slinger, like Jesse Steger, all these people. We play Magic. We would like pool our money together to buy all the top tier decks, and we'd all have different top tier decks, so we could all play it. And we would just run and go get like out of top 8, we would try to get like top 4 places at least. We'd have 4 places in top 4, so we were making positive money. And like Magic actually started in Washington. Like,
Really?
Magic was
Oh, this
created
shit
in
I'm learning
Washington.
today about
I know,
Washington.
yeah, this
So my dad was like
Pickleball
actually
and
deep
fucking
in the
Magic.
game. Like for spoilers, my dad used to run like his own like fanzine, and he did one of the first like spoilers. So now they do spoiler seasons. They leak the cards, get people excited. But back in the day, it was like people looking through dumpsters. It was some like real journal shit. But it started in Washington. I'm pretty sure like in Renton, Wizards of the Coast.
And your dad's
Yeah.
like from here?
Yeah,
that's-
like
that
in
was a
Seattle
Wizards of
around
the
all the
Coast
time,
joint.
contemporary with all this stuff. My
I
dad
had
was
no
like,
idea.
my dad has like cards from the very, very beginning of the game.
Damn.
Like my dad, like he was famous for like making like a suit out of like extra magic cards because he was really into like making chainmail because he was part of the SCA and stuff. My dad's a huge fucking nerd. But yeah, so he got this binder full of like every single land like printed at the time and like kind of family stuff. But like when we were hard on money, he like sold cards. So like my whole life I've been selling cards. My whole life I've been flipping cards. I've been like. And like just through my whole life, just like buying cards and then knowing what's going to increase in price and then just like doing it. And it's simple things like I remember I was in France one time. I'm timing like drops and stuff. It's kind of like a sneakerhead thing. Yeah. And it was like I was able to get in an order. It was like just for the scale of it. There was a product that was like MSRPing for $250, and because the 2 versions of it had sold out, like instantly crashed the websites. It crashed Hasbro's website. It crashed like a different server website. So they went to eBay. They're like, eBay can handle this. They said to be able to handle this, we've printed in excess 12,000 boxes. That's like, and it's supposed to be limited, but they're still supposed to get it to the people who want it. It's like a premium product. They're trying to like not make it like lottery tickets.
Right.
It's like completely selling out, driving the price up for people who want to just like actually play the game because everybody's like, no, this game's worth money. So you get online, you're like, it's dropping at Wednesday at 12 p.m. I still remember. Wednesday at 12 p.m. So in France, I'm in fucking, it's nighttime for me. Like, I'm definitely going to get one of these for $250. It's fine. Yeah. Who has $250 to pay for? In the first 10 seconds on eBay, it said 40,000 people are watching this.
Wow.
And it crashed eBay, and a bunch of people's orders went through, and it all went back and all this stuff. So I was lucky enough to get one because I bought it in the first like 5 seconds for $250. The very next day,
concert tickets.
Yeah, the very next day, it was MSRPing for like $1,000 online.
Oh yeah.
People were selling confirmation codes for $1,000.
That's insane.
Well, and then off of those, like I waited 2 years to sell them. Like my net profit was like $800 or something.
No
after
shit.
I sold it, you know. So it's like I put my money there because I know what's gonna happen.
Why do you? So let me ask you this:
Like I can make people profit on Magic 100%, but you got to be patient. You got to like know profits like 3 years out, 4 years out.
So let me ask you this: why do you not make content about Magic cards?
Because I'm trying to. I'm trying to like.
Okay,
that's
something
like
you're working on right now.
Yeah, I definitely.
Okay. Like, that was a better question.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Are you going to make content on Magic cards?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Like there's a online thing called Magic Arena, and there's like different ranks and like Mythic and stuff like that. And like if you get to the highest like top, I think it's like 1,000 in the world by a certain season. You get to basically play in a tournament, and you get to try to be in the tournament, and then
you play online.
It's all online,
Okay.
and if you win out of like 1,000 people, you know, you might get invited to like the pros.
Yeah.
Thing. And it's just about grinding. And like
I saw
last
Weiss
year,
thing on
November,
Magic
December,
cards
I got stuck because I was like waiting for a job, trying to figure out YouTube, trying to figure out camera stuff, trying to figure out Magic, taking it all, like doing too much. And I just played the game. I was like, well, there's coronavirus. This was like when they re-locked down everything again, and I was just applying for jobs. So I'm like, I'm gonna be here through Christmas for sure. I just started playing the game just with my friend online, and then I got really into it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm like top 500 in the world. Oh, I'm top 200 in the world. And I was just like playing. And then it was like kind of a conversation with my like wife. I'm like, I want to play because I was playing like all fucking day long, and I love playing. But
Is your wife into Magic cards?
more now. But
She
at
is
the time
now?
it was like,
Right.
Get a fucking job. And so I was like,
Good
you're
for
right.
her,
I was like, okay. And I gave up like my rank. I didn't play in the tournament. I didn't take it serious.
You should have done it.
I need to sit. No, but I need to set my fucking life up so I can do shit like that, where it's not like, hey, you're doing this, but also you don't have a job. You
Life
know what I mean?
happens.
Life happens.
Magic cards
But-
is now.
One day I'll fucking play in a big ass tournament.
Can I use the restroom real quick?
Oh yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
best way to
I'll
go
get-
around
I'll get
John?
you.
Around
Oh,
John,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Is that camera
That's good.
on?
That's very
Like a-
interesting.
That camera is not on.
camera's
anymore.
not.
We grew up in a crazy area. It's like the Beatles. This is the craziest area to be playing Magic.
What the
You know what's really funny is I learned actually this morning. Carolina showed me something else crazy dope about Washington. Actually, in Kingston, the gym she goes to, the world Guinness hula hoop champion goes to that fucking gym. And he was there the other day.
Like,
And
why?
they were like looking at him. He goes there.
It's
and
a dude?
He does like pull-ups while he's fucking hula hooping.
No.
Dude, it is so intense. Well, yeah.
It's
Weird
a
shit,
dude?
Yeah.
The guy that surprises me for some reason.
The
I
dude
definitely thought it would
is-
be a woman.
Well, I mean,
I
the
feel like
core
who-
strength involved, bro. The core strength and getting that thing to keep going while you're like pushing pull-ups and shit like
Right.
that. Insanity.
I mean, I feel like a lady can have just as strong of a core as a dude, you know?
I mean, do we really want to have that conversation right now?
I feel like that's got to be one of the things where it's a pretty close
Probably.
measurement, you know? It's not a grip strength thing. That's
We
got to
know
be a pretty
guys are
close.
better, but that's all right.
You're crazy. Is there anything else before Elijah comes back? When he comes back, we'll end the pre-show and then we'll hang out for a minute. But
I just wanted to expound more on this conversation we've been having, essentially about whether we know it or not. We're talking about investments here.
yes,
Right?
Yes.
Between dollars, between cryptocurrency, between collectible items. What this is people finding places to store value.
yes,
And because financial markets shift all the time and currency markets are a part of that, and so the dollar you have today, odds are tomorrow it's not going to be worth as much,
unless it's a
on
magic
any given
card.
day. I mean, and the rate at which that dollar's value decreases depends on what's going on. And it's the same in like the world of collectibles, except it's not a centralized power that's controlling the price. It's a decentralized network of people that are interested in this thing who put within that an inherent value based off of how they perceive it.
Yes.
And how they're going to use it. Everything from the sneaker game to cards. I mean,
Right.
art. That's why art is a
It's
big
assets.
investment now.
Yeah,
It's
and when it's-
assets. Yep.
People
And-
do this with houses and cars.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
like-
And all of it is scary if you don't understand it and you don't see the personal
Yeah.
value in it. You
Like
know?
I got about 5,000 Magic cards I'm about to give John today before he leaves. Be like, all right, bro, I don't care how long it takes. Let's turn a profit on these bad boys.
Let's do
Actually,
it.
that's because there was a phase in my life.
a purge
where,
phase. You're just
uh,
burning everything you own.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Have you looked around? That doesn't happen here. All right. Once I have too much, I start throwing it up on the fucking walls in the studio. But now I got really heavy into playing Magic, and it started with like the Magic card games on like Xbox or some shit like that. And
Yeah.
I was, at a place, we were living in New York at the time, and so the wife and I got into playing Magic cards, and I to this day love that fucking game.
You're good.
No, this is good because we're realizing all the choke points in the studio now. Everything.
There's going to be
Everything's
some
a
switches in
disaster.
between the pre-show.
Like,
and
Yes,
the-
there is.
Like
Yeah.
since I was born to like high school, I knew personally every single shop owner, like in this area. They all know me since I was like a baby.
Oh snap!
Like I was in there when I was a baby.
Do you
So
know
I, like,
Dragon Horde
truly-
games?
Wow.
Yeah,
Dragon Horde.
I
His name's
smell
Doug.
some more content.
Doug?
coming.
Doug, I can't
He's a
remember
cool
his last
dude.
name. I grew up with his son. That dude was actually hanging out with my dad back in like Comic-Con. So, or
seems
not
like one of the
Comic-Con days,
OG
but
dudes.
like
Back in the land suit days.
yeah,
China.
Doug. No, I
All I'm
played
saying
at
is I
a
wanna
tournament
see
this
that
not
suit
too long ago.
because, I'll have to show you in between the shows, but like
What is that?
the art on these Magic cards are dope as fuck.
Yeah.
And I could just imagine like a whole suit built out of like a bunch of fucking land cards, like looking pretty dope at the end. It's something Lady Gaga or Lil Nas X might sport at an award show. Like you go super bougie like that and be
Yeah.
selling that shit for some serious money if you wanted to.
It
You
was
just gotta
for a
put some-
contest.
Yeah.
For a magazine.
Oh. But yeah,
But yeah,
I
I've
think
been
that's good.
steeped in this.
It's some good
Pokemon
shit.
too. I learned how to read and count playing Pokemon.
On Pokemon cards.
I could see that.
That was like
Oh yeah, because you're adding up damage type stuff.
Yeah.
And you're, reading all the comprehending the rules on each card and shit like that.
I didn't understand letters. I would just like look at like Ember and be like, my dad's saying Ember, and that symbol, that's Ember.
There you
So
go.
reading was like weird and hard for like my whole life still. So I did not know what letters were for a while, and I don't think I learned to read that way.
Hey man, everybody's different.
Yeah, right.
It made me really slow at reading. Actually, it was kind of funny.
Well, boys, I think this has been a very good
That's very
warm-up
interesting.
session. This has been a very interesting conversation for the pre-show.
Yes, before we end the
Super glad you
pre-show,
guys
we
are
should
here.
tell people what we're going to talk about today. Obviously,
Yeah,
we're going to
what
talk
are
about
we
you
gonna
guys.
talk about?
Yeah, we
There's
only
an
have like
elephant in the room.
2 topics. We'll see if we get there.
How sick I am at magic is all I've been saying.
We're definitely going to talk about magic at least a little bit more. Yeah, the only 2 topics we have today, obviously, the verdict came down for the Kyle Rittenhouse trial yesterday, so we're going to be talking about all of that. There's an issue actively going on between Project Veritas and the FBI, and so we will potentially dive into that. We're going to talk to you guys about what you have going on, obviously, music, video-wise, Magic Card-wise, because it sounds like there's more Magic Card content coming, so we're going to
It's
be
my
talking...
life, dog.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about all these things. It's going to be... I got a little bit of sports stuff, because we didn't talk about any sports last week with the Creatrix, because
Oh, yeah.
we went for that long and literally didn't talk about... Like,
we could have
anything
talked
that I
about
wanted to.
sports, and I wouldn't remember that we did. At the
Got
end of the show
so
like that.
drunk last
I was
episode.
so
It
hammered.
was pretty funny. Yeah, that's never happened before. It was pretty
No.
funny. So with that, when we'll run through the socials, obviously you've been watching us, YouTube. Get through the Patreon, Facebook, fuck Facebook, it's all to the streets. Saltostreets.com for all this information. I'm at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Colin is at Big Bardoffy on Instagram and Twitter. Salto Street on Twitter. I believe that's it. Upper left on Spotify, on iTunes, everywhere, on YouTube, also on PNW Nils. Is it the same thing on Instagram and Twitter? Yep. So Instagram and Twitter everywhere. Also on Spotify. Dr. Sly on YouTube. Is that what you are on Instagram and Twitter as well?
Yep.
So there you go. Dr. Sly and all those things. Check it out for all the videos. That's it. We'll see you guys in a few minutes. Thank you.
Peace.